So in continuation with the previous video, we was discussing about the buyback of shares. So sometime what happened, due to the less demand for the company shares may be undervalued. Okay, maybe less than its face value. So under this situation, in order to increase the price of the shares and to bring back it to its face value, the companies may also go for buying back of its shares and to provide a good return to its investor. Next, companies buy back the shares to issue them to their own employees. So sometime what happened, the company may also take a decisions to issue shares to its employees, employee of the company. So what they will do, they will buy back the existing shares which are floating in the market and they will sell it to its employees instead of issuing fresh shares to its employee. Next, buyback is also done to reduce its cost of capital of the business. Now, if the number of shares is more, then obviously more profit has to be distributed among the shareholders, and if the number of share is less profit has to be distributed among the shareholders, right? So by buying back of the shares, it will reduce the number of shares. Ultimately it will reduce the cost on the capital. Next, by buying back, company will try to reduce the asset on the balance sheet and increase the return on asset. It means that when a company decide for buying back its shares, um, obviously it will make the payment to the shareholder out of the cash balance, right, from the asset side of the balance sheet, of the balance sheet will reduce because cash will be decreased if the cash is used for paying the shareholders. And but when they do this, they also try to increase the return on the assets. Means they also try to utilize the asset up to its optimum potential so that they can earn um, the same level of profits, okay, which they were earning, or more than that. So in order to provide good return to its existing shareholder. So by reducing the shares in the market, uh, they try to maintain the same level of profit, which will increase the EPS, earning per shares. Okay, so EPS is one of the important component for share point of view. So, under what conditions buyback of share is possible? So, under Section 68 of the Companies Act, the buyback of shares can be done by the listed companies. Those companies which are listed in the stock exchange, they can go for buyback of shares accordance with the SEBI regulation, Security Exchange Board of India regulations. Okay. Next, those companies who are which are not listed in the stock exchange, they can go for buyback of its shares in accordance with rule 17 of the company's rule 2014. They can buy back their shares or they can buy back just debenture under this rule. Next, so a company, they can they can purchase back its own shares or security only when the company fulfill the following conditions. So there are three conditions which a company need to fulfill if they want to buy back their shares. So the first one is the buyback of shares should be authorized by its article of association. So article of association is a document which contains rules, regulations, detail about the companies. So that has to be submitted at the time of registering the company with the registrar of company. So in that article of association, in that documents, they need to mention that they can go for buyback of shares only if when the article of association of the companies authorize buyback of shares, they can go for buyback of shares. Next, a special resolution should be passed in the general meeting of the company authorizing the buyback of shares. That means, to go for buyback of shares, the company need to conduct a general meeting where they need to take a special resolutions by casting their vote. Okay, by casting their vote. So, and by this way they can go for buying back of their shares. And finally, um, all the shares to be bought back, to be buy back, it must be fully paid. Okay, so a partly paid shares cannot be buyback. A fully paid means all the amount, all the applications, allotment, and all the calls amount need to be paid by the shareholder if that shares is to be buyback or is to be purchased back by the company. So that's all about buyback of shares. Um, Buyback of shares is nothing. It's very simple. It's simply taking back of the shares, taking back of the shares by the company itself. Okay, so in order to retain the ownership in their own hand, and in order to control hostile takeovers by the shareholders, okay, and this will benefit both the shareholder as well as the company, because company can retain their shares, and they can also at the same time they can also increase the share price in the market, which will attract more investor, leading to increase in the demand of shares and increase in the price of the equity shares in the market. As well as from the point of view of shareholder, it will give an opportunity to the shareholders, because as you know, as we have already discussed, that shares cannot be redeemed, right? They cannot be redeemed during the lifetime of the business. um, Only in case of redeemable preference shares only, the principal amount is returned back to the preference shareholder at the time of maturity. But talking about the equity shares and other type of preference shares, they are not redeemable. Their principal amount is not paid back to them during the lifetime of the business. So this is a chance for them to get back their capital investment in the time of need, especially at this situation, at this pandemic situation, where the investors, okay, small investors might be facing some financial crisis. So for them it is kind of relief. So TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, have taken a very um, good decision. Okay, very good decisions of buying back its shares at this situation. So I hope you have understood this, about buyback of shares, under what conditions they go for buyback of shares, who are the beneficiaries, under what conditions the company can go for do buyback of shares. So um, if you have any doubts, please comment below on the comment box. Okay,